For context, we have been dating a little longer than a year, and she is the love of my life. Beautiful, smart, well-rounded, motivated, successful, supportive, just everything me or anyone else could ever want in a partner. We don't live together, but she spends extended amounts of time at my apartment with me because she still lives with family, and I think she just likes to get away from them sometimes. When we are together for those days on end, we have intimacy a lot, like at least once a day, if not more, kind of a lot. I initiate it most of the time, admittedly, but every once in a while she will too. Well, yesterday we were talking, and she told me that her friend was having issues with her own boyfriend, respectively, and that they just weren't having intimacy as much as the girl would want. I was listening, and my girl goes, "Yeah, I wish I could give her advice, but I don't know, because we have intimacy a lot. I can relate to not enjoying it, though." I was like, "What? What do you mean?" She proceeded to explain that most of the time, she just doesn't enjoy having intimacy. In general, she says the orgasms are nice, but nothing she would crave on a regular basis. She was adamant on the fact she enjoys having intimacy with me, and she enjoys me, and she especially likes how she makes me feel. But intimacy isn't really a priority for her. I was completely surprised by this. Now, I know this is going to sound like a jerk thing to say, but she does enjoy herself, as far as I know. I don't think she fakes her orgasms, and she says she doesn't. I feel so put off by this. I feel oddly like I'm making her do this for me, and that feels so wrong. I asked her if there was anything I could do to make things better for her, but she was just laughing and giggling, telling me, "Don't get self-conscious, it's not you." What does that even mean? What do I do with this information? Last night I felt so wrong when I wanted to have intimacy with her, because in the back of my head, I just kept hearing her saying, I just don't enjoy it that much." Also, I feel weird airing my girl's business out like this, but it's a throwaway, so I'm gonna. But she is very enthusiastically into giving BJ. She does it every time we have intimacy as foreplay, and sometimes just randomly. I mean, obviously, that's not PIV intimacy, but it makes no sense to me that a girl would like giving a BJ more than having an orgasm. I love her, but she's so confusing to me. So last night, I felt really weird about it, and I told her I wouldn't have intimacy with her. Admittedly, I did it at the worst time possible, as she was putting a condom on me, and she was really, really offended. I told her I'm sorry, but I just can't fathom it after what she said earlier. I explained how it made me feel like a freaking creep when I know in the back of my head that she's not going to be getting pleasure from it, and I am. She told me I was being a jerk and that I was making it all about myself. She told me, "I'm sorry if I hurt your ego, but you have to get over it." So am I the idiot in this situation? Also, to be completely clear, I know my girl certainly is not the jerk. I'm not blaming her for anything. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I feel her 100%. It's hard to explain, but I'll try. So for some people, for me, intimacy is not something that we care about or necessarily want or need. However, we can have intimacy and enjoy it. Basically, it's just like we do it for the sake of the relationship mostly, but we would be fine with never having intimacy. Kind of like asexual. Let's say you're not into, bowling, for example, but your partner is, so you'll go bowling and you can even have a good time doing it, but you don't actually care about bowling and really you just do it to bond. Hopefully that makes sense. Don't take it as an attack on you. It just is what it is. Everyone isn't super intimacy, no matter how good or great intimacy can be. It's just not an important thing for some. Comment 2. I'm going to say neither of you are jerks, and the comment section is wild. Mayo. I think she just didn't convey what she meant properly. I agree with the person that did the bowling analogy. She enjoys you, and she enjoys intimacy. She just is saying intimacy isn't a deal breaker in the relationship. People are just wired differently, and that's totally okay. I'd honestly just apologize and have another conversation about it with her now. It sounds like the first time it came up was just unexpected and threw you for a loop. Grab some food you both love and make up. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit, back again with an update on the situation with my girlfriend. It's been a hectic 3 days, and I've got to tell you, things took some unexpected turns. After our last talk, things got pretty tense between us. I spent the next day reflecting on our relationship, trying to understand her perspective. I remembered how she always put my needs first, even when we first started dating. She was the one who suggested we try new things in the bedroom, always eager to see me happy. It hit me that maybe she was doing all this for me, not because she enjoyed it herself. The next evening, she came over and we had a long, honest conversation. She opened up about her past, something she'd never done before. Turns out, before we met, she was in a relationship where her needs were always ignored. Her ex never cared about what she wanted, and it left her feeling like her pleasure wasn't important. That's why she focused so much on mine. She didn't want me to feel the way she did back then. Hearing this broke my heart. I realized I never really asked her what she liked or wanted. I just assumed she was enjoying everything as much as I was. We decided to take a break from intimacy and focus on other ways to be intimate, like cuddling and talking more about our feelings. The next day, she surprised me with tickets to a concert of a band we both love. We had an amazing time, and it felt like we were connecting on a deeper level. But when we got back to my place, things got heated. One thing led to another, and we ended up having intimacy. It was different this time, though. We took it slow, really focusing on each other, and it was incredible. She seemed to be enjoying it more than ever before. But here's the twist, Reddit. The next morning, she got a text from her ex. He'd been reaching out to her, trying to apologize for how he treated her in the past. She showed me the messages, and I could tell they were affecting her. She assured me she had no feelings for him, but she needed closure. She wanted to meet him to finally put that chapter of her life behind her. I trusted her, so I said okay. She met him for coffee while I was at work. When I got home, she was there, waiting for me. She told me they talked, and she finally got the apology she deserved. But she also admitted that seeing him brought back a lot of old feelings. Not for him, but for who she was when they were together. She said she needed some time alone to sort through her emotions. I was stunned. I thought we were on the right track, but now she needed space. It felt like a punch in the gut. She stayed the night, but the next morning, she packed a bag and left. She kissed me goodbye and told me she loved me, but she had to do this for herself. So here I am, Reddit, sitting in my apartment, alone. I'm proud of her for facing her past, but I'm scared about what this means for us. I love her more than anything, and I want her to be happy, even if that means giving her the space she needs. But I can't help feeling a little lost without her. My boyfriend laughed when I found his ring in the trash. He's not ready for the twist that's coming. Me, 27-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 29-year-old male, have been dating for 5 years and living together for 4. My family owns a small vacation property in a mountain town across the country, where I spent a lot of time growing up and still travel to yearly. He doesn't usually come with me anymore, due to his desire to spend his limited paid time off and funds on exploring new destinations. His very close friend and friend's now wife were recently engaged and just got officially married in a small courthouse ceremony. A few months ago, the couple asked if they could stay at my family's place for a week while they have an unofficial ceremony and wedding photos taken. I agreed immediately because I genuinely liked the couple and was excited that they wanted to do that in a place that I love so much. I went through a lot of work negotiating with my family to secure the property for them, due to the fact that it is rented out most of the season to pay for the upkeep expenses. I was able to secure the couple a week that they wanted at no cost. They immediately let us know that they wanted the ceremony to be as small as possible, only one witness on each side. I believe it was meant to be each of their fathers, and that we would not be coming on the trip. We were completely fine with this, especially since we already had other long and expensive trips tentatively planned for the upcoming year, and flying to the mountain town takes several hours and is not cheap. Here's where the issue comes in. Last week, my boyfriend came home from dinner with his friend and said that the father could no longer come, and the friend asked my boyfriend to be his witness instead. I thought this was great, until he continued to tell me that the couple still does not want me to come. I told him that was fine, and I can just stay at the property that day while they enjoy their wedding activities. To which he clarified, no, they don't want you to come on the trip at all. My first reaction was, absolutely not. But then I felt bad because I know he really wants to be there for his friend. I want him to be there for his friend too, but I feel really weird about the whole thing. I don't think I would feel this way if it was anywhere else, or if it didn't take away from time and money that we plan to use to travel somewhere together. He understands my feelings on the whole situation, but doesn't want to let his friend down. I've asked for honest opinions from a few friends and my parents to make sure I'm not blowing this all out of proportion. Everyone seems to agree with me, and my parents were so mad that they wanted to pull the plug on the entire stay. Of course, I wouldn't let that happen. I obviously can't force him to not go, but would I be wrong for asking him to turn down the trip? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot, and I would seriously consider listening to your family and canceling their booking. Sounds to me that perhaps they are planning on a bigger party than they've let on. It's entirely possible that they are planning to take a group of people there and just don't want you to know about it. There is no reason at all why you couldn't be there to use your vacation time with your BF and not attend the ceremony. I would feel very uncomfortable with this whole situation if it was me and would bow out of the whole arrangement. Comment 2. This request is just so off that you have to question their motives. Getting you to secure the place from them, then suddenly having a change of plans. It's a very special occasion. It's strange that one of their fathers suddenly can't make it. It's also strange that BF is on board and feels no qualms that you can't go. None of this is normal. Not the idiot. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and advice on my last post. I never expected things to take such a turn, but here we are, 1 month later, and boy do I have an update for you. So, after my last post, I had a long talk with my boyfriend. I reminded him of all the summers I spent at that mountain property, how my grandparents had built it with their own hands, and how it was more than just a place to me. It was a piece of my history. He knew this, of course, but hearing it all again seemed to make him understand why I was so hurt. He promised he'd talk to his friend about the situation. A few days later, my boyfriend came back from another meetup with his friend, and the news was shocking. His friend admitted the real reason I wasn't invited. His new wife had always felt threatened by my close relationship with my boyfriend. It turns out, before I even met my boyfriend, they had a brief fling. I was floored. My boyfriend had never mentioned this to me, and knowing they wanted to celebrate their love at my family's special place, without me, felt like a betrayal. I was angry, not just at the situation, but at my boyfriend for keeping this from me. He apologized, saying he didn't think it was important since it was way before we were together. But the fact that his friend's wife still held on to those feelings, that was a problem. The drama didn't stop there. My parents, who had been supportive of me throughout this ordeal, decided to do some digging. They found out that the couple had been bragging to mutual friends about how they were getting a free luxury honeymoon, thanks to some sucker's family property. That sucker being me. My parents were livid. They had been the ones to agree to let the couple stay there after I had negotiated with them, and now they felt used. I confronted my boyfriend's friend, and the confrontation was as intense as you'd imagine. Accusations flew, and in the heat of the moment, his friend let slip that they had actually planned to invite a few more friends to the property without telling us, turning their intimate ceremony into a full-blown vacation on our dime. That was the last straw. I told them the deal was off. They couldn't use the property. My boyfriend backed me up, even though it meant straining his friendship. He said he realized how much he had overlooked my feelings and that he should have been more upfront about everything from the start. The fallout was immediate. The couple tried to guilt trip us, saying we were ruining their wedding. But my boyfriend stood firm, and I've never been prouder of him. It was a tough decision, but it showed me where his loyalties lay. In the end, they scrambled to find a new place for their ceremony, and my boyfriend did not attend as a witness. It put a strain on their friendship, but it also opened my boyfriend's eyes to the kind of people they really were. As for us, we're working through the trust issues that this whole mess brought up. It's not easy, but we're committed to each other. We've been through a lot together, from the time we first met at a mutual friend's game night to our first big trip abroad, and we're not going to let this incident tear us apart. We're planning to use the saved vacation time and funds to go on a trip just for us, somewhere new and exciting. It's a chance to create fresh memories, just the two of us, without any drama. My advisor sabotaged my future over a missed test, so I sued and won. He's on leave, but now everyone's shunning me. The payback is toxic. This is a complicated story. This happened a few years ago. I was 19 years old at that time. I was a sophomore in college. About an hour before the midterm exam, I got into a low-speed car accident. The damage to our cars was minimal. I didn't attend the midterm because of the accident. My car's tire was damaged and couldn't work. The other driver was 100% at fault. The next day, I filed an official excuse to the college excuse committee, providing details about the car accident. They rejected my excuse and suggested that I should have used a taxi to attend the exam. In my university, you have an additional 30 minutes to enter the exam after it has started. The accident happened 60 minutes before the exam, and it took around 30 minutes to process the documentation. So I had half an hour to go to the university, but my car's tire couldn't work. After my excuse was rejected, I sent one email as a formal request to reconsider their decision. I CC'd the excuse committee, the college academic affairs, the college dean, the department chairman, and my advisor. They ignored my email. I sent a reminder to that email after 2 weeks, but they still ignored it. After waiting for a long time, 1 week before the final exams, I told my brother, who is a lawyer, about the situation. He went to them to explain my situation, but it didn't work. Then, one of his lawyer friends, who specialized in education, advised me to file a lawsuit and offered to be my lawyer. So I filed the lawsuit. After 5 months, I won the lawsuit and finally took the midterm exam that I had missed. I didn't want to request this to be published in the local newspapers because I thought it would damage my college's reputation and possibly affect my chances of getting a job after graduation. The reason I'm writing this is that the college excuse committee, 4 professors, and my department chairman got fired after that. All the professors in my department didn't like me at all. Even now, they still don't like me. I'm currently trying to apply to study a master's in civil engineering, but one of the requirements is that I have recommendation letters from past professors in my department. I reached out to them, but they declined to write a recommendation letter for me. One of the reasons for this is that I barely got a job after graduation. It turns out that my new department chairman was bad-mouthing me whenever a company tried to employ me through college alumni. Edit: I'm from a country where the native language is not English. The education system may be different. Edit 2. After looking at the comments, I have decided to talk to a lawyer again about the new department chairman for defamation, bad-mouthing me when companies wanted to employ me and costing me jobs, and go to the university again to meet with the academic affairs dean to sort out the recommendation letter problem. Because department professors who are still in the university refused to write me a recommendation letter for my master's degree despite my good behavior and grades. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Because it turns out that my new department chairman was putting in a bad word about me whenever a company is trying to employ me through college alumni. That is an easy lawsuit win if you can get statements of people that have been told this, especially after you tell them why they decided to badmouth you. Because they refused to accept a truly genuine excuse for an exam being missed and were acting unprofessionally. The lawsuit you had only got you your exam. They got fired because of their own unprofessional behavior, not your lawsuit. Your lawsuit merely exposed it. Most people who hear the real reason you aren't liked and that this guy is bad-mouthing you will have no problem telling them what they were told by this dude. He's in trouble. Comment 2. Go to the dean, and if he's smart, he will do a letter or get you letters from professors. Otherwise, sue them again. These people are acting like animals. The worst part is they all plagiarized and cheated. But now that they are in charge, they treat people who are better students than they were like total shoot. There was no reason to try to sabotage your education over a missed exam. These immature jerks deserve to be fired. Because it turns out that my new department chairman was putting in a bad word about me whenever a company is trying to employ me through college alumni. This is called defamation, and it costs you jobs, so there are damages. Now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 3 days since my last post, and boy, do I have some updates for you. Remember how I was struggling to get recommendation letters for my master's in civil engineering because the professors in my department were holding a grudge against me? Well, things have taken a wild turn. 3 days ago, I decided to confront the new department chairman about the bad-mouthing situation. I had always thought he was a straight shooter, someone who valued justice and fairness. He was the one who took over after the old committee got fired, and I had hoped he'd be different. But when I met with him, his demeanor was cold, and he refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing. He even had the audacity to tell me that I should be grateful for the leniency they had shown me in the past. Frustrated, I left his office and immediately called my brother's lawyer friend. We discussed the defamation case and he agreed to take it on. But that's not the juicy part. The real shocker came later that day when I bumped into Professor H, one of the committee members who had been fired because of my lawsuit. Professor H had always been kind to me before the whole mess with the midterm exam. I was surprised when he called me over to talk. He looked around nervously before he spoke, and what he told me next left me stunned. He confessed that the reason the committee had been so harsh on me was that they were under pressure from an external source. And guess who that source was? My own advisor, Professor L. It turns out that Professor L had a personal vendetta against me. I had no idea, but apparently I had unintentionally crossed him during my freshman year. I had reported a cheating incident during a test, which led to his favorite student being expelled. Professor L had taken it upon himself to make my academic life as difficult as possible since then. He was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes, influencing the committee's decision to reject my excuse, and even convincing the new department chairman to badmouth me to potential employers. I was floored. Professor H explained that he felt guilty about the whole situation and that he had been against it from the start, but went along with it because he feared for his job. He offered to help me by providing a written statement detailing Professor L's actions. Armed with this new information, I went back to my lawyer. We decided to expand the defamation case to include the wrongful actions of Professor L. My lawyer was confident that with Professor H's statement, we had a strong case. The next day, I went to the Academic Affairs Dean to discuss the recommendation letter issue. I explained the situation and showed him the statement from Professor H. The dean was shocked. He had always seen Professor L as a respectable figure in the department and couldn't believe he was capable of such pettiness. After our meeting, the dean assured me that he would handle the situation personally. He promised to talk to the remaining professors and ensure that I would get the recommendation letters I needed for my master's application. But the drama didn't end there. Word of Professor H's confession and my meeting with the dean spread like wildfire through the department. Professors who had previously shunned me were now approaching me with apologies, claiming they had been misled by Professor L. Some even offered to write the recommendation letters themselves. As for Professor L, he was called in for a meeting with the dean and the university's legal team. I wasn't privy to the details, but I heard from a reliable source that he's been put on administrative leave pending an investigation. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.